Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're listening to me from. It's been an amazing week. Yes, I think we're getting at this, trying to record and be consistent so that we have something for the week. This is So Matters with Ambrose. Before we go further, I like gisting you guys a lot about my week, but this week the last week rather, has been a very fantastic one. It's just one of these weeks that you just let it go. So I was fully connected with nature and fully connected with myself. Nothing really bothered me for the week. And that is why this came up. So I was having a conversation with a friend who haven't spoken in a very long time. And then he said something. This is someone we haven't spoken for over 3, 4, 5 months. And then we spoke, and it was like, connection. You should talk about connection because I don't know how you do it. You inherently and intentionally know how to connect back. So I gave it a long thought, but I said it wasn't just connection, it's more than connection. So let's see what this exactly means for our world today, what it means for who we are, what it means for the life we have, and what it means for most especially and most importantly, the reason why we're on this podcast, a soul. Once again, this is Soul Matters with Ambrose, and you're welcome on board. So let's talk about connection. So in Japan, or the Japanese has something to say about calm and the peaceful state of mind. Is called the Odeaka. I'd like to pronounce that in a way that it sounds like Igala. Odeaka. But it's pronounced Odeaka. Odeaka is a state where you intentionally connect with every single thing that is around you. But before we go into that, what is connection? Connection is a state of being totally in tuned, my definition, totally in tuned, totally at one, and inherently coexisting with something that it will take a detachment or a separating technique to remove. Now, why are we talking about connection today? And what kind of connection are we talking about? We're talking about the human connection. It is one thing that is beginning to lack, and it is one thing that is beginning to go into extinction that people no longer take serious. The fact that we're connected to our nuclear family, we remember them. The fact that we're connected to friends and beneficiaries, we remember them. For use, it's actually not connection. So the kind of connection we're going to talk about is the one that inherently shares the ideology of humanness in its entirety. There's an interesting fact while I was trying to research for this. The way AI is taking over, the singularity. So on the 23rd of February, yes, if I'm not mistaken, 3:51 p.m., Elon Musk tweeted something. He said, "We are on the event horizon of singularity." That thing held me bound. And while I did this research, I came up with a whole lot of theories about this. But that's not what we're going into. Let's talk about connection. So AI is getting into a phase where connectivity becomes a simple thing and it's easy to go by. So, for instance, if two driverless cars have an accident now, right? And there's an error that causes that accident, every other AI driven car or driverless car gets that information. And when they get that information, they utilize it to upgrade themselves or to become better version of, and I think that's what we call generative AI, right? So now think about this from that perspective. then bring it to human connection as it is. I mean, connecting is a multifaceted process that informs, of course, our emotion and psychological landscape as it is. And it involves a lot, which is why a lot of people don't want to get into connectivities. But if the cars, the AI driven cars or the driverless cars, are beginning to share intelligence at such a high speed and high rate, imagine what we could do as humans if we're truly and sincerely connected. Yes, it involves a lot. It involves empathy, it involves vulnerability, it involves even probing our existential consequences and even probing our existential prowess or even probing our existential realness or the intention as to why we exist. Why it's easy to say, oh, you need to connect with people. Let me give us a precept to this. For you to connect with someone, they say, oh, we don't vibe on the same frequency. For you to connect with someone, your brain will have to do some constructive frequency matching. And when that is done, it projects something into you from a higher existence that says this is supposed to connect. So you see, connecting is not just because we want to, but this is the will that we connect with each other. And when I mean connect, it's like the fargin, something the Middle Easterners do. Fargin means if your brother has, you have. And I think it's also common in the southeastern part when you go to a shop to get something and that man doesn't have. He said, oh, let me get it from the other shop because he has, I have. And it's also the spirit of Africa which says Ubuntu. I am because we are. So the same connectivity we're losing on the basis of becoming more materialistic, on the basis of becoming more driven by things that are no longer serves the purpose of the soul. And the reason I am doing this is the fact that I know that with time, because there's a verge coming, we are on the vent of what you call it, the horizon of singularity, which I'm going to explain to us as we go further in this podcast. Because that is happening, the most important thing we can do for ourselves now, or the most urgent thing we can do, is to come together and truly be connected, unite in our diversity, united in our purpose, unite in our fronting of whatever ideology that will enhance humanness. And it will blow your mind to know, while I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I also want to believe that there are a lot of truth that we ignore. Basically, even from the precept of AI, with time, if we don't truly connect and tell each other the truth, machine learning will learn exactly what we do and then use it to harm human or to enhance human, whichever case it is. So there's a bot rather, created by Microsoft, and after 15 minutes of launching it was withdrawn rather. Why did they withdraw it? It is because it was generating hate laws, bringing out words that humans use against each other because of their differences. That is exactly what I am trying to avoid this morning. And I know that as you're trying your best to build your own self, as you're trying your best to build that human perspective that gives you entirely your own freedom, remember, connecting with people, connecting with yourself, connecting with your community is also essential to overall human growth. Sometimes we think we are very smart. When I did a bit of delve into quantum physics, and I see how humans philosophically want to raise themselves as the top bar in the ecosystem of this universe, and they feel that, oh, we have everything covered. We're the most highest being here. So there's a point where we're inquiring if there are aliens or not, and humans were firing radio frequencies into space, not knowing that these beings are above our own frequency, they are above our own comprehension, and they are in the dimension where that realm, our own frequency, doesn't even match up to them. But are we really that smart that we think that we don't need each other? Just the way driverless car communicates, the AI intelligence is communicating. The deep stroke understanding, the grok and the whatever is coming out is beginning to understand each other and highly interconnected. So information easily gets out from one system to the other without having to probe and crack and all that, which we as humans we lack. In all sincerity, we lack it. Because everybody wants to build alone, everybody wants to walk alone, everybody wants to feel this sense of pride to say, I did it alone. Self-made, single one, single mom, single father. No, there is need for us to come together and start connecting back. And why should we connect? How do we connect? First, we have to do existential inquiry. The why. Why are we here? And why should we even be connected? Once we know about ourselves, which is if we're designed to be solution giver, if we're designed to be solution driven people, then we should understand that our why is important to connect. And this thing of connection, especially for the soul, is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And the essence of it is that we have to see it as a journey and not a destination. It's a journey that is not focused on any destination. Because for you to connect with someone, you have to open up the window of understanding that even regardless of where this person is today, they might be somewhere else tomorrow. And if the matching order you've given to today is not sequencing with the next day, what is going to happen? You're going to feel disappointed. Expectations will be jilted, expectation will be dashed, and then we go into another array of people who are angry at the essence of other people, even without making attempt to commit to connecting. And to connect, to connect with people, you have to understand that feelings varies. Person A and person B cannot have the same feeling as it is. It takes some people to get gradually into committing to long-lasting relationship of connection because of what? The disposition of their feeling or the disposition of their body or their thought at that particular time. And then to achieve a very healthy emotional condition or connection is way healing than every other method you can put together. The moment you have that deep emotional connection with yourself, you can get the most out of anything you do because that connectivity guarantees you to be able to carry on with things that originally you won't be able to carry on with. And to connect with people, vulnerability is very important. And this is what we deal with or we at war with most times. Being vulnerable to say, I can't really connect at this point. I am not feeling this connection. The frequency is dulling for me. And then you are able to use the same energy to re-establish connection again. And there must be shared values. What value are we sharing today within the society? Get rich quick, dupe other people, work with the essence of people, help people nurture and grow. So there are a lot of ills and lots of good that societally we have come to accept or we have come to understand that this is who we are. So if that communal understanding is not grouped together for us to get into the onus ourselves, there is nothing we're led to fight for. So, yes, shared value is important for us to connect to people. And it's okay to disagree that we don't need deeper interaction with people. But when we have shared value, you would open up to deeper interaction with people, and especially within your community. And there are non-verbal cues for us to connect with people. So I was teasing a friend recently, and I said the first time we met and when we were talking, so I was a bit touchy, and I had to, please, I hope I'm not too touchy. These are verbal cues. Some people don't like it, so you have to quickly create that boundary to be able to connect with them. So connection on a different level means being able to share the wavelength of your frequency. And the moment the wavelength of frequency is aligned, connectivity is easy to achieve. And please, to connect with people, respect boundaries. If you want to achieve an excellent connection, respect boundaries. And then be able to freely do the act of kindness. So I usually do this yearly thing, act of kindness thing, and it's born out of the fact that every one of us has something to offer as an act of kindness. Whatever you can do now, just walk up to that colleague and take care of a burden and put a smile on their face and call it, this is my own act of kindness. These are things that we can do to nurture ourselves into connecting. And nurturing energy and time, respect for people's time will help you connect better, because you know that you're not going to take more than you have invested in them. So that is something to look like. That is something to look at. That is something to work with if we truly want to connect with people on a different level. Thinkers like Martin Buber talked about this true existence of human connection is the I-thou connection. So because I am, then you. So we have that interconnectivity of heart, interconnectivity of objective, interconnectivity of strategy, and then interconnectivity of manifesting whatever we are supposed to do. Now, let's go to this tweet by Elon Musk that prompted us to say it is time for humans to unite and connect. Being a physicist, being a student of physics myself, a lifelong student of physics, and especially quantum physics, singularity is something that goes way beyond normal thinking for me. It crosses from religion to philosophy to quantum physics itself. And this is a moment beyond which we can no longer see, forecast, or predict anything. That moment, we will need each other. Because if we have not built that consciousness that wakes us into the bright reality of what we are supposed to be, we collapse here and there's no going back to it. Now, the singularity of events and the singularity of people has a different way of bringing us together. But in this case, let's look just beyond the singularity of time. The aura for singularity is calculated probably at a 98.76485 aura. And this is the part, scientifically, if you want to define it, I just define the philosophical aspect of singularity. If, we are to isolate every one of us in this particular kind of situation, your guess is best to me what happens to us. This is the part where gravity becomes infinitely strong and causing space and time to collapse. Our normal formula, G equals to G, capital G, M all over R square. which is equal to infinity as r tends towards 0. Now, gm is the what's it again? I think gravitational field. Then the other gm is the change in mass, and then we have your r as what is that r again? I think, yeah, then your r is the distance, the ratio of distance. So forget that jargon. We just want to talk about that event horizon that happens. It is the moment where we lose the entirety of our consciousness. Now, this is where I want you to follow me to. The entirety of what we know, what we believe, the resurrection of ourself back into the essence or the true nature of who we are. That point is where we can no longer go back, and we are getting there. So I rather we build a community that genuinely values the essence of true connection, that truly values that the morality we need to succeed as a people against the odds that comes to us is the fact that we can face it, and we can face it together. We can change the narrative as to what we do with people. It is not going to just be relying on the fact that we are self-indulgence. We indulge in self, not thinking about the next person. No. In the face of conflicting emotion, morality will make us to do the right thing. And if we have shared values, if we have the truth and the connectivity between each other sincerely, without even mincing word, without even doubting the capacity of what we can do, I can tell you that in any event horizon, as human, with soul, with consciousness, we would win it. And there's always just going to be you. You know, a lot of people say, I stand for me and for me. But there are many ways to realize who you truly are without connecting with each other. You are intelligent because someone else thinks and hears you. You're smart because someone else feels that's who you are. Your head is held high, even in the midst of adversity, because you have built resilience from the numbers of connectivity you have. A guru once says that your grandmother's nose is sitting on your nose because there's a transcending power that has connected us together as one. Not just because I'm African, not just because I'm from Nigeria, but because being connected to one another has no barrier. And the little I can contribute to that on Soul Matters is to tell you that do not neglect that one more phone call to that person. Do not neglect that one more visit to that person. Stay connected. Stay liberated. And if you come to the end of this podcast with me, with all sincerity, then say this to yourself: I am connected. And because I'm connected, everything around me generates same frequency with me. And it brings about the good that hold me together as a person. Amen. Did you say amen? Whoa. Okay, so that was it. And truly, I think this speaks to me. There's a lot I can do with connectivity. Stay connected. Stay connected. With the beautiful people around you, stay connected. With nature, stay connected. With the good tomorrow around coming, stay connected. Bye-bye.